I was looking at this net Dania chart, and it is an excellent chart. Um, what I was wanting to say was about this the second smackdown in silver price. I think it was far more due to the margin rate increases more than any kind of euro crisis problems or anything like that. And what my argument is this: back in this time period, 2010, I think it was from early February all the way up to June, there was this big attack on a euro. I don't know if you read about that from the hedge funds or whatever. It was like a supposedly secret attack on a euro. Webster probably talked about it. And the euro went way down. I think it was like 120 to the dollar, and the dollar index was around 80. And the dollar rose a great deal. And everybody was talking that the euro was finished, it's going to fall apart, it's done. And what was going on with silver? It was actually slightly rising all during this time. So, and this is a exponential logarithmic chart, so it gives you the relative moves. So when you're looking at this, it was actually a slight increase, but it was doing okay. And, there was no big pullback or anything like that because the euro is going to crash or anything. Nothing was going on like that. And everybody was pouring into the dollar. The one thing I think where there's a psychological panic and they're going to be pulling out of the euro, if they're going to go into a metal first, it's going to be the gold. And then you're going to see the silver follow, and it's probably going to follow at a much greater rate of increase. But first, it's going to be the gold. And the reason is because the gold market's a hell of a lot bigger. We saw those, the gold mining production for a year is a little over $1.4 trillion. And of the 25,000 metric tons they produce in a year, there's 1.4 or a little bit more than $1.4 trillion. So it's a hell of a lot bigger market, and most of that gold production is available for investment, whereas the silver mining production for a year is around 25 and $750 million. It's a tiny fraction. It's like that would put it about 1/6 of what the size of the gold market would be. But then again, in mining, as far as mining goes, but of this silver mining that's available for investment, you're talking maybe 20-25% is available for investment, whereas gold, most of it's going to be available for investment. So it's a factor of you have many multiples times of money that can go into gold versus silver. So the big money's not going to really go into silver too much. It's going to go into gold. And that's where you're going to see that price skyrocket first. Then you will see the silver skyrocket after that, probably at an accelerated rate. And it's difficult. I know it's very, if people knew what the prices would be, they would just shut their mouth and they're making all the money in the world. But my educated guess is that gold's going to move up first, and we're not going to see a slam down in silver due to some kind of euro crisis. I don't think that's going to occur. I think it was the margin rate increases that did it. As far as oil, and I know people aren't interested in oil too much, but I think it is all related to I think the commodities are kind of run together, although there's not an exact one-to-one relationship. I do think the oil prices are going to still continue to go up. There's going to be a lot of resistance at this $100 mark because it's just a psychological resistance, and it's been around that mark, a few times, and on the way up and on the way down. It's just how it works, and it's psychological resistance when you're breaking 3 digits. But once it breaks through that, I mean, you could go far beyond it. But I think sometimes you really can't look at purely the numbers all the time, but I think the oils, I mean the numbers as far as looking at the charts specifically, I think the charts are good, but because it gives you an indication where people might have gotten in, where they might want to get out, and that type of stuff. But the other thing is even the short-term fundamentals. There's more and more car production going on. There's more and more people want to be driving cars, so there's more gas usage going on. There's also still a shortfall from Libya, and the International Energy Agency had to release stockpiles, and Saudi saying they can keep up, and I don't think they can keep up. And number two is it's possible maybe there will be a war with Iran. I'm kind of leaning that it's not going to happen right away because maybe of a couple of articles I read here, the United States it sold this bunker buster bombs to the United Arab Emirates, and if you don't know where that is, that's just a little small country over here, Dubai, you know, right across from Iran. So you know, they're not going to attack Iran by themselves. That would be totally suicidal. But I think the plan would be to get together with several countries, you know, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Israel is talking to Saudi Arabia, and also Saudi Arabia is getting bunker busters. So I'm not sure if Israel's just going to jump right ahead and attack Iran right away before the winter, unless they get all these planes and bunker busters over to these countries in a hurry and they get paid for them and everything. A war is business. That's what it's always been about. Horrible as that sounds, that's what they'll be doing. They'll want all these transactions done first, and before they attack Iran, and then the whole spiel would be, and of course Iraq. I'm sure there's probably people in there that want to attack Iran, so that's what it'll be. It won't be the United States and Israel against Iran. It'll be as many countries as whatever they can pull together to go against Iran. And I know Russia is going to say all this stuff against the United States, but they're about as much of they're a bigger dictatorship than the United States, and as far as Putin, he's like it states in here, and I'll post this link on the article if you care to read it. Putin, unlike his Soviet predecessors, has no ideological aversion to do business with even the mandarins of American capitalism. Putin is a big-time capitalist himself. He can make a Rothschild look like nothing himself, too. I mean, Putin's wealth, I'm sure, is far beyond the 40 billion they advertise on Wikipedia. And there's a lot of things that aren't valued. I mean, people really, like, there's a lot of things out there that just, they can have materials, they can have all kinds of things. And since he's running the state, he's running all the oil industry. So just as Lindsey Williams says, our Western elite and the oil barons on this side of the world are pushing up oil prices so they can get rich. Well, considering that Russia is the #1 oil producer in the world, Putin's just going to get that much more wealthy, and he's been, you know, working with the Western oil interests developing their natural gas and oil in Russia for many years. So, despite the rhetoric, I mean, I hope people don't get too anti-American about this, because these guys on the Russian side are, you know, Putin's, he's a capitalist all the way, all the way. So, what possibly could happen with what I would think is the oil prices go way the hell up. It's going to crash the S&P. I stated this before, and that could possibly hurt the metals too. That could possibly hurt the metals. Now, my own play is I've been in these funds and holding them, and I actually was smart enough to try to buy them at the very low, so I'm not really I'm about even with them, I guess. Leveraged oil, and the Goldman Sachs oil fund. It's just called oil. Not really the best. Well, it's a mixed bag. I mean, you could say one thing has one big advantage versus another. But what I personally plan to do is if oil does go up a lot, I'm going to dump it and buy more physical metals, whichever ones I think are the best deal at the time. Um, but I got a lot of patience, you know. Might piss me off if I see things go up and down, like this was a bad hit over here. But I did buy it in a pretty low, so it wasn't bad. But I don't think people should be too afraid of all the electronic markets, because the wealthy can't buy all silver and gold. I mean, there's something really wrong with Lindsey Williams' statement when he's talking about that's the money of the elite. I think it's true if they can make it true, but there just isn't enough silver and gold around in the world for them to move into. And maybe the gold might satisfy more of their requirements, but the silver, forget about it. You know, it's more of a small investor play, and it's probably going to make the small investor a hell of a lot more money as a percentage of his entire portfolio than it ever could for the wealthy investors. I mean, you're not going to see a guy with $10 billion. I mean, yeah, if he could buy $10 billion worth of silver, there isn't enough silver to do that. If he could do that, that would be the smart thing to do. So, you know, it's a really super good play for somebody with lesser money. It's, you know, I mean, even a person who has $1 million can put most of his money in silver. But as far as these billionaires and stuff, it's not an option for them. So they're going to be talking other things. But that does give you a little common sense that these people with astronomical wealth are not going to lose their money, because the whole electronic system and all the banks and all the brokerage houses are going to go down. They're not all going to go down. They're going to know where to move them to. And that is a real question. Where would that be? So I don't think everything's going to go down like Lindsey Williams says. I think he's partly true. I don't think it's going to be like 100% everything that's on a piece of paper is going to go down, because we're going to go right back to the Stone Age if that's the case. I don't think it'll be like that. But for the small investor, definitely stick with the silver coins and gold, whatever, too. But I'm mostly in silver, physical silver, too. I mean, I think that's a smart play. But not 100%. And I don't think all these electronic markets are just going to disappear. Because behind all these things, there's oil wells. They're drilling. It's a real product that's going to market. It's a real product that's serving a function. So it's not all paper, no matter how you look at it.